welcome to Guitar with Ryan. That's the verse section to John Mayer's Belief. We're actually going to learn the intro, verse, verse 2, chorus, bridge, solo, bridge, outro, everything. Everything's going to be all kind of in the same place, so you don't have to go searching for video 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is going to be kind of long-winded because there's a lot to this song. It's not a complicated song. It's not really hard to play. It's difficult to master. But that being said, all the sections, I think it's just easier to kind of just organize it in such a way that you can find it in the video and refer back to it back and forth, so you can kind of learn one section, put it down, come back to the video later on. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna see if that format kind of works out. So yeah, may as well just dive right in. So basically that's the verse and intro. So you basically come in playing that section right away that you just heard. From that section, you know, I'll play ahead each time. Before each section, I'll kind of play what it is that we're learning, so you can kind of hear it and then see it. So with that section, with the intro, you start playing all the bass notes on the E string, and you play all those notes, you play all those chord shapes basically with your thumb over. If anyone knows any of John Mayer's stuff or has played any of his, learned of any of his songs before, you know that he plays a lot of like Hendrix style chords, and this song is no different. And for those of you who don't know, Hendrix style chords are you know, using the cage system where basically you slide up like the C shape or the E shape, put your thumb over, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility and freedom to kind of riff inside of the chord shapes with the actual chords you're playing. So the way he does that with this song is, so you play all the bass notes, all the, right, all that stuff. So you're doing all that stuff with basically your thumb over. The first one, you play the 10th fret on the E string, so it's the first bit of this verse. Is hopping back and forth from the A string to the G string, and you're only sliding 2 frets down from your destination. So our destination on this fret is going to be the 12th, so you slide in from the 10. So you're going to go and then slide. Once you get that kind of back and forth, or that you know, this, so you basically do that like a hop, if you will. So you basically hop from the A string, G string, and then back to the A string, and then you go and you play your double stop, which is so it's the 12th fret on the A string, and then on the G string you're playing the 10th fret. So right, just like that. And then from the your second shape here is the 10th fret on the A string and the 9th fret on the G string. So that's your double stop there. You're gonna do the bass note again. This time it's gonna be on the, it's gonna be a G or the 3rd fret on the E string. And then this time you're gonna actually slide up a little bit more. So you're gonna go, you're starting here, so you're starting a little bit further down and you're sliding into your shapes all the way up here. So you have your bass note here. And same thing, you're literally doing that hop, and that hop is basically on the A to the G and back to the A. So on that A, for this shape, it's gonna be the 8th fret, and it's gonna be the 7th fret on the G. And your double stop for that one is gonna be the 7 and the 5. So the 5 being on the G string and the 7 on the A string. So far we have so now we're going up a couple frets and we're basically doing a shape. We're starting with the bass note on the E string, and that's going to be on the 8th fret here. And then you go the other way, so you go a little bit further down the neck here, and you slide out from the 3 to the 5 on the A string. And you do your double stop on the 3rd fret and the 2nd fret. So you've got your 2nd fret being the G string, and your 3rd fret is the A string there. So you come all the way back up to where you started, except this time you're going, right? So once that's finished, play that through. That's gonna be for the intro, you play that through twice. And then for the verse immediately following, you play it through, I believe, another 2 times before you come into, it might be 4 times, neither here nor there. So you finish that section, and then the next section, you basically seamlessly transition into starting, instead of starting on the 10th fret for the E string over here, you're gonna start on the G string. So for the hop section where you're going back and forth, then you're basically playing on the D string and the B string instead of the A and the G. So you're going, so same kind of rhythm, same kind of, it's the exact same thing. So you're just playing the D here, so the D string is going to be the 12th fret, and you're going to be playing the 11th fret on the B string, and you're going to slide into it a little bit. So you've got the, I kind of slide in, I don't know, somewhere from like around the set. It doesn't really matter as long as you slide in at least 2 frets down. I mean, you could slide in all the way from like here. I just find it's a little bit, once you slide all the way up the neck, at least for me, I find it's a little bit more difficult to land on the proper destination. I'm not as like accurate as you will. So I'm not as accurate, if you will. So I basically, I'll play the bass note and I might slide in around here somewhere. Right, so just doing again the double stop, which is that's gonna be the 10 and 10. And then from there, conveniently enough, your thumb is already basically in position for the next bass note, which is going to be on the 8th fret of the E string. And this one's nice and easy. You don't have to change anything. You're basically just doing 10 and 10 on the D and the B string, and then 8 and 8 on the same strings. So from there, you're going to go back all the way down to the 1st fret on the E string. And then from there, start where you first left off on your basically your D and your B string, and then you're already in position for your thumb to kind of wrap over and play the bass note, which is going to be on the 6th fret this time. Except this time, instead of doing the double stop, when you slide down, you're doing, so you're basically playing it 1 and 1. So you're going, and then that's just on the 5 and the 3. And that's it for the variation of the verse, or the verse part 2, whatever you want to call it. It's basically just where it kind of transitions. You can actually even call it the pre-chorus, because from there it takes us to our next bit, which we'll do right now. All right, let's do the chorus section. Welcome back if you learned the last section and you're joining again, or if you just kind of zipped through the first section and you're already here, then congratulations, you're a faster learner than I am. So as soon as you finish like the second variation of the verse section, then you kind of, this is where the pick comes in. So you basically want to take your pick out from hiding, and then you're going to be basically strumming with it again. If you practice even just doing that, like just doing this, if you're going to play like a lot of John Mayer stuff, like even just this exercise, like if you're bored or like fidgeting ever, that's actually a super useful technique for playing a lot of Mayer stuff, just because he's constantly switching from doing kind of finger style like we were just learning, and then transitioning into doing a little bit more like strum stuff. So that's what this section here is. So for the chorus, we basically start over where we had our shape here, right? But this time we're actually doing kind of more like power chord shapes, and we're strumming. So there's a lot of like dead notes in between. You're doing a lot of like, so that's essentially what you're playing, is just the 10 and the 12, which is on the E string and the A string. So you got the, and then you do the like the chugga chugga chugga, and that's exactly what it is. It's just literally. That's that section. That's literally the chorus. But you just basically play it 4 times over and over again. So easy enough. But again, it's just kind of getting that rhythm down. And again, I'll preface the rest of the song and the rest of the sections with this. This is a classic example of like a minute to learn and like a lifetime to master. The whole song is quite it's not really technical and difficult, though it is difficult to really nail it. It's easy to learn, but it's hard to like perfect it. So, you know, don't beat yourself up if you can't get like the chugs or the timing right away. It's gonna play like playing with the soundtrack like 1,000 times. So basically you're just doing the 10, 12, and then you go from the, and then from here you basically go from the 12 down to the G string, which is the, again, same as the intro really, is basically on the G string there, right? And then you go down to, so you're just playing the A string and the G string. And so for this section, it's the 10 on the A string and 9 on the G string. And then you basically transition to like this little riff. So you basically come in, there's almost like a pause. You don't come in right away on the beat, you come in behind the beat. I'll show you what I mean. So you don't play it on the beat, you let that like one hit and then come in on the 2. So you start behind it and then you play. So that's just the 8th fret of the E, and then you go down to the 10th fret of the A, and then you go right down to the G string, and you just basically go back and forth from the 7, 8, 7, and then that's just on the D string. So you go little vibrato. Pretty much anytime you land on any note, for the most part, give it a little accenting and just a little shake of vibrato, maybe slide out. You can hear the kind of the different variations, but I think as you play through, you'll probably even kind of come up with like your own voicings a little bit on how you want to just kind of end on stuff. But yeah, that's the chorus section. So and that's it. That's the chorus. It's not super hard. Again, it's just really getting those chugs, practicing with the soundtrack a couple times, and you'll nail it in no time. And we'll jump right into the next one. All right, so from that section, basically you play that, which is the chorus, which we just learned, and then you go back to the verse, which is the play that through twice, I believe, and then from there the rhythm guitar will continue with the verse section and then play the lower part, the alternative or second part of the verse, which is the so on, and then basically as the rhythm guitar is playing that, then you get to come in and riff with the sweet solo. So a couple important notes for those of you who care, for those of you who don't care. You can kind of skip ahead to the next minute. But tone, basically, and what you're doing with your guitar to kind of achieve going from those rhythm sections and kind of the more fingerstyle and like a clean, like a crisp, kind of like dirty clean, to like an overdriven kind of tube screamer sound tone for the solo, and it makes a huge difference. And you're basically just switching the pickup, so you're switching from this position just down 1, right? So you'll hear right away a little less buzz, but this is basically that's you know, anyone who plays any Stevie Ray Vaughan, and with John Mayer being a huge fan of SRV, a lot of the solos that he does, he'll switch from that position here to the 4 position here, and it just basically gives it a little right away. I mean, it sounds, if you were to play the right, it sounds completely different. It's a lot more, different. So that's why I think it's important to kind of just like touch, because if you start playing the solo and you're like, how come it doesn't sound nearly the same as on the record? It's because you got to change the position of the pickups, and then when you do that, also add some overdrive. For me, I'm just playing on a Maxon OD-9 overdrive, which is essentially just a tube screamer, so like the Ibanez tube screamers, anything like that. But basically that just pushes the mids forward a lot and then kind of colors your tone a little bit. So you can kind of have an overdrive that is transparent, or you can have one that really kind of colors the tone and changes it quite a bit, and that's what the tube screamer does. That's, of course, we can dive into that more in a different video. But yeah, basically just engage that tube screamer, and then you have like an overdriven sound and a lot more to kind of, a lot more headroom to kind of play with as well. So to kind of turn up the volume on your guitar a little bit, and now we can actually jump into the solo, the fun stuff. Again, the solo isn't extremely difficult. I will play it through for you now. It's really just kind of like nailing, you know, coming in on the ones and really playing with the soundtrack to just nail exactly the timing. Otherwise, it's I don't want to say it's a piece of cake. It's not a piece of cake, but it's definitely not the hardest drum Mayer solo on the album Continuum. Easy enough. So basically just slide in from the 12 on the B string and you slide into the 15th fret. You basically just let that ring out for like a whole note. And then you basically switch from the B string to the G string, and from the G string on the 15th fret you slide down, and you slide down into your 12th fret, and you do that twice. So you got a little vibrato there too, G string. And then you basically do a pull off. So you arrive at the 12th fret and then you pull off into the 10th fret on the G string. A little vibrato again, like I said, kind of always give a little bit of flavor on every note when you, whatever note you're landing on or resting on for a while. From there you bend up on the G string at the 12th fret. So you basically are doing the bend on the 12th fret, G string, and then you're going down to the B string at the 10th fret, and then you're playing the 13, going back to the 10 on the B string, and then that's all on the G string, so you're doing the bend on the 12, and then you're coming back to the 12 position, going to the 10, all on the G. Just like that. So far we have so you're just sliding, just going to the D string for that next little bit, D string, 12th fret to the 10th fret, and then from there you slide 3 times, and then you're doing that pull off again. So you basically go from the 12th to the 10th on the A string, pull off without playing the note. So just like that, and that's on the 8th that you're kind of finishing that on. So you're gonna pause almost for a second. And you're basically just gonna do like the pentatonic run back down to where you started. So you're gonna be doing so you basically do the, which is the 10, 8, and then 12. And that's all on the A string, and then you're coming down to the D string. And then you're just going, that's just basically the G string here on the 10th, and then 12 back on the D string, and then back to the 10 on the D string. That's it. A little vibrato there on the 12. Just like that. Again, you also kind of listen to the record. And then from there, you're going down on the G string, you're kind of going down the neck a little bit of a ways here, and you're playing the 5 and the 7, and you're doing the... So that's just hammer on, 5-7 hammer on 3 times. On the last one, you kind of rest on the 7 for a second, and then you pull off to the 5. And it's really important that you get that pull off back to the 5. Because it's going to set you up for the next riff, which is basically sliding from the 7 to the 5 on the D string. So that's, again, your hammer-ons. And this is basically all legato here, and you're really only picking 2 notes for this entire run, which is the first one that you play on the 7 for the slide to the 5, and then again on the 5. So you're playing a couple notes in there, but you're only actually hitting 2. So the rest of the slide. So slide from 7 to 5, hit that 5 on the A. That's it. So again, real quick, we have so that little section I just added on to the end there is just the 3 to the 5. It's worth mentioning that for a lot of those where I'm kind of digging in, you can really, that has that little bit of like extra grit to it. That's just simply me kind of raking with the pick, hitting those other notes, but not actually, or hitting those other strings, but not actually hitting, not actually letting them play. So I'm still just doing I'm still just hitting the G string, but I'm raking the rest of the strings as I'm hitting the G string, which I'm playing. You can do that 2 ways. You can either do that with like a palm mute over here. You just make sure you're kind of, you know, making these strings dead as you basically strike them. Or you know, what I find I do more often is kind of just deaden them up with any of the other fingers that I have to spare. On my right hand, or for you right-handed players on your left hand. So it makes a huge difference. It's one of those things that's a little bit of a nuance. From there, you have so that last section is just the hammer on 3 times the 5 from the 3 on the D string, and then you play the 6 fret on the D string, and you just basically do, again, just kind of like a legato, pulling off and then pulling off. That's just 6, 5, 3 all on the D string. And then you're gonna slide up. And then when you slide up, you're basically gonna have this shape. And again, I find it's nice to be able to strike the rest of the strings. This is pretty much the climax of the solo, so you wanna have as much kind of like oomph, you know, that little extra something as possible. So again, I find the way to do that is being able to rake your strings. So you're gonna do a slide 3 times. And that slide is basically, you're going from 12, 13, so 12 on the B string, 13 on the G string, and you're going, and you're sliding over just a fret, single fret, to the 13 and the 14. And then it's almost done. The hard part's over. If you made it this far, you're in the home stretch. So from that slide, you do 3 times. You do a little run again here. And that's just sliding over on the A string from the 10th fret to the 12th. And then 10 on the D string, walking down all the way to, again, 12 on the D string. And then you go 10 on the G string, so we're just going literally A, D, G, and then we're playing the 12th fret. As soon as you play the 12th fret on the G string, you're going to want to do a bend. that's it. So that's just a little back and forth on the G string, so you're just literally going 12, 10. And you're finishing on the D string on the 12th fret, where you're kind of sliding out. And then you do your final slide, your kind of final solo section here, which is... So you've already done this slide, so it's the same position, so it's kind of nice, you don't have to learn anything new. So you're sliding on the G and B string. So this time, instead of playing both and doing like the, you're just playing the single notes. And that's just on the B string, you're just bending up on the 15th. And that's just after the bend. Playing the 15, you're pulling off to the 13 on the B string. And then you're playing the 15th fret on the B string twice, so you're finishing on that. Again, kind of nice to have those like extra like little rakes in there. On those finishing notes, again, you're really, you're finishing on the climax almost, like the solo doesn't fade away by any means. It's definitely, it finishes on a high point, so dig into those last two as much as you can. And slide out, basically slide out down the fret, and that's it. That's it for the solo section. Not only are you done the solo though, once you've learned, if you've come up to this point where you've learned the intro, which is essentially the verse, if you've learned the verse and then the chorus, all you do after the solo, now that you've learned the solo, is you basically just get back to the bridge, or sorry, the chorus section, which is kill my overdrive here, go back, flip my my pickups again. So you basically just, from the solo, you do so you play that section again. And then you basically just play that until the outro fades out. So that's it. Make sure you subscribe, do the bell thing to get notified. If you want to learn more lessons like this, if you want to learn more stuff from John Mayer, especially the Continuum album, then definitely please subscribe. And yeah, looking forward to hanging out some more. Don't forget that if you did want to get the tabs for this song or for other songs that I'm also teaching, you just go down into the description and there'll be a link for you there. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next song together. Cheers.